relationship with the post-pandemic customer. Please welcome Saumil Mehta, Global Head of Customers, Square, and interviewer Diane Brady, Assistant Managing Editor, Communities and Leadership, Forbes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. What a great conversation so far. And Saumil, great to see you here.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Very welcome. Well, you're Global Head of Customers. Take us to the front lines and tell us, what are you seeing? What's changed?
Thank you for having me today. It's been a crazy 18 months, obviously, through the pandemic, for us, for all of our customers, for consumers writ large all over the world. Several things that are possibly unexpected that have changed. Maybe I'll walk you through a couple of those. I think the first one that's worth sharing is the expansion of digital wallets, P2P payments, into other areas like commerce and cashlessness. So a few years ago, things like Cash App, which obviously is part of Square, were popular but relatively niche use cases. As of today, through the pandemic, usage, new consumers, existing consumers, usage base has absolutely exploded. And what's more interesting is the expansion into other parts of commerce, not just paying your friends, but now actually doing transactions with businesses.
And is that because we don't want to go to the ATMs because we're, holed up at home? Or what do you think's the reason for that?
It's anything that you're going to start doing with the people in your life, friends and so on, is eventually going to become habitual. And once it's habitual, it's a natural expansion into the other parts of your commercial life, not to mention the significant convenience of that. And so this is why our Square point of sale product now actually allows you to pay with Cash App at the point of sale. We just launched it. We're really excited about it. And this also ties into this other big trend around cashlessness, right? So I'll give you a couple of data points that may be interesting. At the start of the pandemic, about 15% of our UK businesses were cashless. Cashless as in, 95% plus of their transactions are without cash. Today, it's nearly 50%, right? So more than 3x up just through 18 months. In the US, which is obviously we're a much bigger scale in the US, it was 5% cashless, just 5% at the start of the pandemic. Now it's up to 15%. That's a huge number of businesses that are almost entirely cashless. And we saw this big spike at the start of the pandemic, came down a little bit, and then it plateaued at a much bigger number, 3 times, right? So cashlessness, P2P payments, expansion of commerce, one big trend. The other related trend we're seeing is around things like self-use gift cards, right? So
self-use gift. So that's me buying a gift for myself.
Exactly. We print
it's called Christmas in my family.
Exactly. We print like millions of these every year. We sell millions of these just digitally, right, without any plastic. And what we started to observe, which was mind-blowing, is about a third of them are being purchased for self-use, which is
really, I have not seen that out there. So 1/3 of all the gift cards purchased are people buying. Why would you buy a gift card for yourself? What's the logic of that?
Yeah, we think it's part of this kind of broad diversion of credit, essentially. So what we've found with consumers that we've talked to and businesses that we talk to, it's frequently considered to be one of these like budgeting tools, actually, because if you
so you control how much you can spend somewhere by buying yourself a gift card. That's fascinating.
Right. You've got $100 on it, and you know that you got to make this $100 last until the end of the month.
Now, if I am a retailer, of which there are many, many of the next 1,000 are creators, they're people who have e-commerce businesses and such. How do you take advantage of that? Do you start marketing your gift cards now for self-use, or this sounds like it happened by serendipity almost?
Certainly did. We've always had some self-use, but yeah, I mean, we would encourage we certainly encourage our customers, and we'd say that for anybody in the Forbes Next 1000, which is don't sleep on gift cards. Essentially, it's a powerful mechanism to engage your consumers. And now it's yet more powerful because of this new kind of self-use trend. And we're certainly leaning into it. I'll tell you another trend that you might find interesting. So a few years ago, I'd have all these smart engineers, designers come to me and pitch me ideas tied to QR codes, right? And I'd be like, certainly in the US, I was like, nobody's going to use that. I would never say that now, obviously. And
no, can't eat in a restaurant without your QR code.
There you go. And they're everywhere now, right? So we've got them for tableside ordering, super popular. We've got them for gift cards, actually. If you buy a plastic gift card from us, on the back of it, we've got a QR code now, which we never had before, to find your balance, because how do you know what's on the gift card, how much money's left without a QR code? We've got them for this integration between Cash App and our point of sale, where you pay with a QR code. And so other countries have been kind of ahead of us on this QR code trend, right? Like places like China and India. But now the US has really, really accelerated in terms of consumer behavior.
Besides seamlessness in terms of less friction for me as the consumer, what benefit would I as a business have in using a QR code? Does it give me more granular data? Is it just simply that I'm easing kind of the onboarding of the customer experience, or what's in it for me?
It really is this notion around friction and also simplifying your operations. So you think about we think a lot about line speed, right, with a lot of our businesses, because the thing that always, and our businesses think a lot about, right before lunch, it's like I've got the line kind of going crazy. Well, guess what? If you have this other modality called a QR code, you can actually start to process orders in parallel while people are waiting in line even, right? And so now the line is no longer an ordering line. It actually is partly an ordering line and it's partly a pickup line.
The smart people at the coffee shop who go to the front and the coffee's waiting while I am fifth behind.
Exactly.
No, one of the things with the pandemic, obviously there have been a lot of challenges, and we've seen this in some cases, this influx of a lot of capital to support businesses. What are you seeing at this juncture right now? Are there particular challenges that are starting to emerge? I know we're talking about some new behaviors. Are there new behaviors as well on the part of the businesses and the retailers and such that are using your technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So we think a lot. I mean, one of our biggest priorities going back 4 or 5 years at this point is what we would call omni-channel commerce, which is, we think about that as reversion of control and power into the hands of the buyer and the consumer, right? It used to be—
That's like online, offline, wherever I want to get you, I can get you.
Yeah, I as a consumer reserve the right to message you whenever I feel like it and maybe expect a response 24/7. I expect to purchase anytime I feel like it. I expect to purchase and engage with your business on any device and any form factor that I feel like it. And I expect everything to be synced online and offline, right? So if you have a loyalty program in your store, it better work when I also buy stuff online. That's not common, actually. And you can find very large retailers where the loyalty program works offline, but not online, right? So all of this stuff has kind of really accelerated and really increased over the last 18 months. And so now you think about the challenges on the business side, right? So there's 2 or 3 big ones. So the first one is, this stuff feels kind of easy. It's like, oh, it's just online ordering, right?
Looks easy, right?
Yeah, it looks easy, deceptively simple, right? Extremely thorny in practice. Why is that? Because you have to run everything on a common platform for all your data to actually sync online, offline, mobile web, desktop web, mobile devices, apps, you name it, right? So your consumer data, right? Like, who is this customer? What's their identity? How much have they bought with me in the last 3 years? What's their favorite thing to buy with me? All of that needs to be available everywhere, right? You got to run it on a common platform. Your inventory, by the way, super critical, right? Like,
I was going to say, that's the issue for me. I'm so spoiled now. I walk into a store and it's like, they don't have my size. I know they have it, online. So,
or you could have another problem, which we've seen and heard about, which is you sell it online, but you don't have the inventory because
right.
you processed the order, you took the payment, But guess what? Like there's a big line at the store. And so a bunch of people bought the same thing. And now you're out of the inventory and your inventory didn't sync online and offline. It's an extremely common problem, right?
It's called a sneaker drop in my house. Yes.
Exactly.
Exactly. Sold out right away. One of the things that I think is really interesting as we've talked about these habits that have changed, I'm actually quite intrigued with, because I have teenagers, the Cash App and how you've expanded that to teens. I think financial literacy is so important across the board. I'd love to talk about some of the opportunities that you see in terms of, frankly, getting us to understand spending, spend smarter. I hope it doesn't take you too much out of your wheelhouse, but it's just something I've noticed in the last few weeks. Love to hear more.
It does take me out of my wheelhouse.
Okay, just for a minute then, just because I've been trying to get my kids to download it. Because I think it's really powerful actually when you have kids that are used to online, they live online, to now have the means to actually be, frankly, spending and seeing the consequences on a more granular level, I think is very powerful.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, one of the macro trends that we've touched upon is the digitization of money and money movement, and the digitization of all the commercial use cases attached to it, whether it's paying your rent, paying your friends, buying Bitcoin, buying stocks, buying fractional quantities of stock, right? And
Saumil Mehta does not advise you buy Bitcoin.
Well,
Okay, another conversation. That's our critical conference. We'll have you back.
But nonetheless, I mean, to your point, right? Like anything we can do to encourage teens, consumers writ large, to spend responsibly, to spend with a budget, to understand the real world consequences of the way you manage your money, and to have a healthy, productive, successful relationship with money is certainly time and effort well spent. And obviously, Cash App for Teens just launched recently, last couple of weeks, and I'm super excited about it. I don't have teenagers, unlike you, but if I did, I certainly would be first.
I'm so excited to be putting my credit card away, Saumil. I can't tell you. It's like, go use your Cash App. But let me go back to customers and ask you, if I'm a customer, you're on the front lines, you see what the smart folks are doing. Where would you be prioritizing right now? You did mention, obviously, the omni-channel sounds easy, it's tough. Are there particular areas that you think really warrant a hard look and strong investment?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the good news is that even though the world around us has changed through the pandemic, the fundamental kind of customer lifecycle is still the same, right? In terms of commerce, it's still awareness, consideration, conversion, retention, advocacy, right? That hasn't changed.
Right. Yep.
It's just super blurry, online, offline, and it's everywhere, all devices, et cetera, but the life cycle is still the same. So what I would tell folks in the audience, emerging retailers, amazing entrepreneurs, is mirror your customer life cycle and invest omni-channel while mirroring your customer life cycle. So the foundation is still the customer.
Know your customer, basically, right?
And how do they buy? How do they proceed through the buyer's journey online and offline? The difference is now it's all blurry, but the life cycle is still the same. So let's give you some examples, right? Let's say you are a pool repair business. We have a bunch of pool repair businesses on Square, right? That's a very episodic service that you're gonna, when you need
December's a slow month.
You need it. Well, when you need it, you really need it. And it's an expensive service. And so a business like that needs to have an amazing website. They've got to have amazing lead gen forms. They've got to have amazing software for estimation, contracts, invoices. Would plug Square Invoices, unbiased. But on the flip side, you're a coffee shop with an offline point of sale. It's like the average ticket size is $10. So you don't have to worry about lead gen and invoices.
Right.
Correctly.
Always more people needing coffee.
Exactly. And they're going to walk into your store frequently, but they're also going to buy your beans online. And so you still need a website, but you probably want the website to be focused on commerce. You want it to be focused on loyalty. You want to be able to sell gift cards, and you've got all that working offline as well. So it really depends upon the type of business.
Now, in the last 30 seconds, I want to tap into your soothsayer anything around the corner on your radar that you want to put on ours?
Absolutely. Lot of amazing trends that we're watching. Mixed use businesses, right? The lines of like retail, restaurant, services, it's all blurry. Everybody's doing everything. Mixed use business is a big one. Hyper personalization to attract customers is a big one. Buy online, pick up in store, social media shopping, mobile commerce. And I'm probably out of time, but the list goes on.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. You win. That's wonderful. Well, listen, Saumil, thank you very much. Great insights. I'm going to go buy myself a gift card and appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Bye now.
Enjoy the rest of the event, everyone.